Yeah, Friday. What's up, everybody? Friday morning. Welcome to today's edition of the Daily Market Commentary. I'm your host, Chuck Fulkerson, as we are rounding out the week. Not a whole lot to talk about today, as we are rounding out the week in our markets. And so let's take a few minutes and take a look at the S&P, the Nasdaq, crude oil, and gold, and then our stock of the day. So let's go ahead and dive right in, starting first with the S&P as a part of the big picture. So kicking it off here with the big picture, the S&P is up 5 points this morning. We can see that we had we've come up very hard from a rally. We did get to our all-time high potential breakout yesterday, and it really just kind of stalled after breaking above the all-time high. We do tend to believe, though, that we're not going to be shorting this all-time high, because if there's one surefire way to get in trouble, it's don't short the all-time high. Rather, look for a potential breakout above the Globex high, because it can't go into a trap, right? If you think about it, it can't go into a Globex trap. Now, we sometimes will see after a big week, you'll sometimes see a sell-off on a Friday from profit taking, right? So if that were to occur, this is where that line would be. And so if you're interested in taking advantage of a profit-taking sell-off, I think it would be below this area here. And then, but I don't feel like it's going to go for very long, because you do have a decent little area of demand down below right in this level. So if you want to take advantage of a profit-taking sell-off, you can't even think about it until below here. And then there's really not a whole lot of room to roam until the next area of demand. Nasdaq. The Nasdaq's actually sitting in much better poised for a breakout. The Nasdaq, we saw this area here, which we identified on Wednesday as a potential reversal, become a really nice bounce area where price rallied up off of that level. We're now sitting below another opportunity for a potential upside breakout, especially with these slightly higher lows. This is very common for price to continue to move higher. Now, shifting gears out of our equity markets and going to our commodity markets, we're going to crude oil. Both crude oil and gold, both of them are fairly sideways, not giving us a really good tradable picture. If I look at crude oil, I see a very sideways price action, which is also going to be the same in gold. Gold, I got to break down below this line here. But neither one of these markets are going to be really good opportunities for reversal trades at the moment. We have to break out of the range that we're currently sitting in. So even when I slide to, say, a 15-minute chart, when I have a level like this one up here, this is a fairly clean wick over wick level as part of some other wick over wick areas. And so that is available, but just understand that your probabilities are always a bit lower when you're in an undefined trend direction, which is really what we're setting up for up here, is a bit of an undefined trend. And then gold, same thing. We have, a potential breakdown below this line here. So you've got two potential breakdown areas, one at 1772 and one at 1761. But the one at 1772 is a little bit weaker of a possibility, but it is still valid. So those are our big picture stocks for the day. Those are our big picture major market moves and what we may take a look at for today. Let's take a look at our stock of the day. Stock of the day is Alibaba Group Holdings. So looking at Alibaba, Baba is one of those stocks that had a meteoric rise higher and then has really started to come back down. But what I'm most interested in is the fact that we're either creating a breakdown point or forming a base to go higher. Now the question is which one, right? Which one? So let's look at this on a daily chart. Well, on a daily chart, what I would take a look at is this area here on a breakdown potential, and that breakdown potential is still very clean and very valid. However, one thing I do want to pay attention to, and I'm not a huge trend line guy, But if I draw the trend line and simply connect the trend lines, what you'll see is that we've poked above a falling trend line, and we are sitting right at an area that old support acts as new resistance. So I'm really feeling like we're at a little bit of a point here in Alibaba where we could pop above this 220 and price could continue to run. Um, because we've broken above. Now, by the way, even if you're not a trend trader, excuse me, now, even if you don't utilize trend lines, which I don't normally do, right? Because trend lines can be a bit subjective. But the thing I like about this one is that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 fairly clear touches. If you could also draw your trend line like this and say, well, now I've got 1, 2. I'm on my third touch on the downtrend, which is why we're not taking any action yet, right? Don't take any action as of yet. Let's wait for price to break either above 222 or below this area here. So if it is truly a good bounce off of a downtrend, then you're not going to miss all that much from here to here. However, those that do use trend lines, it is something worth noting and something worth considering. Now, we also have put in a little bit of a potential double bottom, but that double bottom isn't complete until we get above this area here. That's the middle of what would be a double bottom. Now, it's not a traditional double bottom because I've got two of the same lows on the W. You typically want to see that double bottom be a little bit, we'll call it crooked. But we could have a very similar price action to what happened over here, where we started to pop up, came back down and retested the low, and then had a bit of a breakdown. And so that's really if I were a betting man, and I'm not a betting man, but if I were a betting man, I would think that your breakout is closer to being down with a really nice price target here of about 180. But certainly you can trade either direction in this case. This might be one of the few times where it makes sense to take a look at maybe something like a straddle that gives you the opportunity to play both sides with a little bit of a wider area. A straddle might actually make sense in this volatility environment, as we will see that we are at the low point of volatility for the year. It might make sense to consider a straddle, a fairly wide straddle at that, but it does give you a good play in that position. So, if you guys have any questions, as always, send us an email, support@tradersarmy.com. Until next week, everybody, I will talk to you soon. See ya. Hey, thanks for joining us. If you like what we do, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's the only way the computers know that you're actually alive and really care. And go to tradersarmy.com today to learn a bit more. And if you want to see some of our other videos, click here in the box.